Bundles of shirts, shorts and accessories covered the floor at Newcastle Police Station as detectives worked through the process of listing clothing recovered from premises in Mannering Park and other locations on the Central Coast. The clothing is all branded Maui & Sons, a popular surfwear label that's marketed nationwide. Headquarters for the Australian franchise of the Maui brand is a factory in Carrington, and it's alleged by police that it's from here the recovered clothing was stolen. As literally truckloads of clothing were returned to the factory to be painstakingly recorded by police, there was a sense of relief for proprietor Margaret Egan.
That'll be wonderful now with our deliveries needing to be sent out.
The week-long investigation was spearheaded by Newcastle detectives and involved police from Newcastle and Gosford. Dubbed Operation Rag Trade, it's being seen as a success.
Very successful. The operation resulted in the recovery of a large amount of alleged stolen property, being clothing. It's going to be a long investigation, and the investigations are being carried out locally and interstate.
One arrest has been made, and as investigations continue, police are making an appeal for anyone who's been offered large quantities of Maui & Sons surfwear for sale to contact Newcastle detectives. Jim Sullivan, NBN News.
Anna Munro is just 4 years old and the youngest rider in the saddle at the Jamboree. While she's the babe of the competition, her mount is the oldest. Ice Cream is a 34-year-old Shetland pony and still going strong. Anna rides with a group affectionately known as the New Lambton Posse. The oldest of the four is 6. Events are judged on the rider's ability to control their horse. Points are awarded not for how fast the set routines are carried out, but how proficiently they're done. And competition is intense. A ribbon won at Cessnock is highly prized. The wind may have taken the sting out of the sun, but it played havoc with high balls, the more experienced golfers reaping the benefits from keeping their shots low and hard. At the first tee, Ken Ryan from Parkes didn't even give his ball a taste of the wind. The Cypress Lakes course is one of the more testing around. Bunkers and water traps ensuring teams competing in the 4-ball event make full use of their partner's best score. The final round will be played tomorrow morning. The howling wind made the jostling for the start intense. Newcastle boat Rota Shear got the best of the tussle, but it wasn't long until they ran into trouble. The problems didn't stop there. Right in the middle of the race, a tanker had to move up the harbour. The ship's wake making any attempt to get back into the race near impossible. But while some were having a swim, others were revelling in the wind. One yacht was estimated to be pushing 30 knots. The harbour isn't very wide, so when you get 20 18-footers tearing from one side to the other, there's little room for error. However, foreshore spectators couldn't have asked for a better view. Nokia mobile phones took line on us 8 minutes ahead of Aussie Mail and Sydney Harbour Fuel. Organisers say the 18-footers will now become a permanent regatta for the harbour. In the under-16s, there were plenty of eyes on the Newcastle and Port Macquarie game. Newcastle in the brown and white had a field day with Port's pitcher. Fielding mistakes didn't help Port's cause either. Both sides had a number of State League players in their ranks and the battle amongst themselves was pretty intense. In the under-14s it was a clash between the two Macs, Lake Macquarie and Port Macquarie. The girls from the Lake in white and blue are defending Australian champions, while the Port Macquarie team are posing as their big threat at the National Championships next month. Far North Coast had few troubles in the field against Central Coast. The Northerners assumed control of the game early in the innings, but it evened up as the game wore on. The point scores are still close and the makeup of the finals won't be known until tomorrow afternoon. They gathered just after sunup and were full of enthusiasm at the start. The 9-kilometre circuit around Blackbutt Reserve has become tradition with the Knights' pre-season training. The mix of hills and flats making sure everyone gets a good workout. Some of the slopes prove testing on calf muscles that haven't been strained for the past few months. The bush setting also providing cover from the coach's eyes. But not everyone could escape the wrath. One local resident made sure no one was going to slacken off around his patch. Robbie O'Davis finished first, completing the 9Ks in 33 minutes. Paul Harrigan started 3 minutes behind the rest of the field and still managed to beat a couple home.
Well, it looks on some of their faces, some of them hadn't done a lot of work in the off-season.
First grade captain Mark Sargent sat out today's run due to a back injury. All three grades from today are training 6 days a week and will have to repeat the bush run in 2 months.
The last a group of 4 campers saw of their 20-year-old mate from Charmhaven on the Central Coast was when they turned in last night. The group was camped near Heaton's Lookout in the Wadigan Mountains west of Newcastle. Unable to find their friend this morning, the bushwalkers contacted Cessnock Police, who, along with volunteer rescue personnel, mounted a search of the steep cliff area about midday. The missing man's body was located at the foot of a 100-metre drop. Rescuers had to abseil to the scene.
We've got 3 members over there. They abseiled down on the rope. We are retrieving and we're working our way up the cliff face. It's in a couple of sections, so we've got to do it in 3 sections to get the person back up again.
The difficult and dangerous recovery operation took several hours to complete in deteriorating weather conditions late this afternoon. Andrew Lobb, NBN News. Established in the 1950s, the Soldiers Point Caravan Park is regarded by its short-term and long-term residents as the average worker's little piece of affordable paradise at Port Stephens.
We want to change it and put an upmarket type cabin accommodation here of 100 cabins, which I don't really think suits the area, and this is what the meeting is about today.
About 200 locals showed their concern for the future of the park at a meeting. Few disagreed that the park and its amenities had seen better days and could use an upgrade, but drew the line at a report which recommends that vans be relocated from the waterfront and replaced by high-rent cabins. Several councillors and the member for Port Stephens, Bob Martin, attended the meeting. Newcastle's Trade Hall maintains building green bands on the park and community hall in an attempt to preserve the park as it is.
And just keep the park so that the average working man and the average fellow that works at the BHP at Newcastle can come up here and enjoy his holidays and his weekends and be able to afford it with trying to rear a family and pay a mortgage and all those other debts that everybody's got to pay nowadays. If they do the cabins, it'll just put it out of their price reach, and that's what we're worried about.
Like, people just can't afford to pay $100 a night for a cabin.
A committee has vowed to fight on to save Soldiers Point Caravan Park and was told Nell from the Port Stephens Council that the park's future was not a foregone conclusion and that the matter would be open to a lengthy consultation process. Andrew Lobb, NBN News. The happy couple are crew members aboard the MV Rus, a Russian cruise ship undergoing a refit in Newcastle. Lena is a stewardess, Igor a motorman. They've been sweet on one another for the best part of 2 years and haven't been home to Russia in 12 months. Newcastle's Russian community came to the rescue when the pair decided they'd like to marry, turning on a full Orthodox wedding. Church members came forward with a wedding dress and the groom's clothes and as well laid out a feast to celebrate the marriage. And the honeymoon, a South Seas cruise of course, but the couple will be back at work when the ship sets sail from Newcastle this Friday. The management of Confetti's Chicago Bar and Grill wish to distance themselves from the well-known former nightclub Fanny's.
We never want to hear the name mentioned again, actually. This is to be a totally new concept in Australia and Asia, as well as Newcastle. We've chosen Newcastle because of the concept, the continuity. The people of Newcastle tend to grasp things very open-handedly.
The inside of the heritage-listed Wharf Road building is seeing an upgrade by a Sydney nightclub operator at a cost of $1.3 million. 30 local tradespeople are working on the job, and once open, the complex is expected to employ more than 80 people.
We actually are going for a mature market in the sense that you can find a mature person in the age of 18, you can also find a mature person at 20, 25 and 40.
A world-class chef of Hard Rock Cafe fame will open a new steak and salad bar style restaurant with a 1920s Chicago theme. There'll be a sports bar decorated with Newcastle Knights, surfing, boxing and cricket memorabilia, as well as a more intimate cocktail lounge and dance floor.
We do have a 3 o'clock licence, and another big thing is also we're going through with a Sunday late licence, which hasn't been done successfully in the past. I think they have closed at midnight previously. We intend to go through at 3 a.m.
The Chicago Bar and Grill is to be the first in a chain of restaurants opened nationally. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
At 6:30 last night, this truck carrying 6 horses left the road on the Wootton Bends, 10 kilometres north of Bulladila. The vehicle's 51-year-old driver, Robert Milligan, suffered severe leg, chest and head injuries. His passenger, Leon Woodser, had his left ear severed in the smash. Both men were taken by the Westpac rescue helicopter to the John Hunter Hospital, where they are now in a satisfactory condition. The horses were trapped in the back of the overturned truck. Rescue services had to wait for a vet to arrive before they were freed. 5 of the 6 horses managed to escape serious injury. Not so lucky, a young foal. The highway was blocked for more than 4 hours while the wreckage was cleared away. 3 hours later at Brunswick Heads, 27-year-old Douglas Lucre was killed instantly when his car slammed into this tree just south of the town. Police don't know how fast the Canberra man was travelling when his car left the road, and it took the Brunswick Rescue Squad some time to free the man's body from the vehicle. And at 5 a.m, a 33-year-old Sydney woman died south of Coffs Harbour when the driver of a northbound Ford Fairlane veered onto the wrong side of the highway and slammed into her Commodore. Scientific police say there was no sign of any braking at the scene, and it's estimated both cars were travelling at 100 kilometres per hour, resulting in a massive impact. The male driver of the Ford suffered leg and facial injuries and is in Coffs Harbour Hospital in a stable condition. Police are investigating all 3 crashes. Rachel Proudman, NBN News.
As you can see, we've still got this inside lane here on the highway, and the vehicles are able to pass through. It'll be a couple of hours, I'd say, before we're able to have the load transferred to another vehicle and this semi-trailer righted, but I can't see any major disruptions to the traffic.
Early evening before the road's cleared?
I think so, yes.
We look at all the other precincts of standing up and saying enough is enough. 32 feet down the side of this hall in return for a coat of paint, and that was all that land.
Strait. That's sort of
It's not every day you get to look first-hand at a multi-million-dollar race car.
People don't believe the size of them and things like that, and how tight the confines that the driver has to work in. And so they're really thrilled to see the cars. It's something special for them.
It's become one of the glamour sporting events of the year, the IndyCar Grand Prix on the Gold Coast. The V8's topping speeds of 200 kilometres per hour on the tight street circuit. But for 6 months of the year, a giant truck takes some of the cars around the country, giving fans a taste of the action. It was Newcastle's turn today. The Indy promotion will be in Taree tomorrow and Coffs Harbour Saturday. The race is in March next year.
Paul Anthony Richardson is charged with the knife-point abduction and murder of Sandra Millwood at Head and Greeter on May 15. The final day of a preliminary hearing of charges saw the presentation of further police evidence, including a fourth videotaped interview with Richardson by Detective Sergeant Merv Hunter of the Major Crime Squad. The court heard Richardson broke into Sandra Millwood's home on the morning she disappeared. After a conversation in which Richardson told the woman he was obsessed with her, Sandra Millwood was taken to Old Dump Road at Head and Greeter, where she was strangled and beaten over the head with a stick. When asked why he killed the woman, Richardson said, "I don't know. Don't know whether it was the Valium and medication I'm on or the spirits he'd been drinking the previous evening." Amongst witnesses to give evidence today was Paul Richardson's wife, Catherine, who had to be comforted by friends after leaving the courtroom. Late this afternoon, Richardson was committed to stand trial in the Supreme Court on charges over the Millwood killing. The accident triggering the emergency happened during redevelopment work on the Beverages service station site in Wollombi Road, West Cessnock. A tank was being removed from its holding pit when an estimated 200 litres of a petrol and water mixture leaked from a crack. Sand used to mop up the spill was today being aired to disperse remaining fumes. Cessnock Council and the Environment Protection Authority have made inquiries about the accident. The owners of the service station say the spill posed no major threat to stormwater drains or neighbouring waterways, with the contents unable to escape from the site.
every plumber in Newcastle. We're going to make a real dig.
Have you got any idea what you think it's from?
From a big gun.
Yeah.
Driving a bomb job, I've done all sorts of shit.
When was it? Oh, was it buried in the sewer?
I don't know.
Okay, you want to put it away? You can.
So what did you do? I must have pulled out 40 wine bottles out of it. Really? That'd be a better sign, wouldn't it?
Success doesn't come easy in surfboat racing. 1 minute you can be leading the pack, next you're swimming back to the beach. The Swansea Belmont Club, though, are working hard to take out the guesswork. Club trainer Perry Sparks is regarded as the best in the business. Every day Sparks has the crew working up and down the Swansea Channel, and when it's blowing a gale he wants them pushing against the wind. While Sparks barks the orders at training, sweep Trevor Dyson keeps the talk up on race days.
If we're in first position, just try and keep them rowing nice and long and hopefully staying there. But if we're not running in first position, I suppose there's a fair bit of abuse flying and you probably can't repeat that on TV.
Trevor says the crew forget about the harsh words once the race is over because they realise the pressure they're under.
You're the Australian champion. Every time you go into the water, somebody wants to beat you, and that's the way it should be.
Boaties are renowned for letting their hair down, but the Swansea crew again have an advantage.
Basically, none of the guys drink, which is odd for a boatie, I guess, but maybe I'm lucky in that respect because I don't really have to discipline them too much there.
The boat is also a success story, designed and built locally. It's made from Kevlar, the same as the Navy minesweepers constructed at Carrington. The crew just hope they can drop another bombshell and clean sweep the state and national titles this year.
It's been nearly 20 years since Roger Da Costa won his last World Championship, but for his adoring fans, it could have been yesterday.
How do you feel when you get approached by these people that want autographs and call you a legend and a hero?
It feels kind of embarrassing on one end, and on the other hand, sometimes it makes your ego feel good a little bit, you know.
Da Costa won the World Motocross Championships from 1971 to 76, dominating the sport. In Newcastle today, he went over one of the old Suzukis he used to ride. After retiring as a competitor in 1980, he then managed the Honda team. He now works on a bike magazine.
If it was not for the sport, I probably would be working in, some company, some factory or something, and I probably would not have had such a fun life.
It seems the fans will never forget Roger Da Costa. The 49-year-old will prove he still has plenty of life in him yet, competing at Oran Park on Sunday in a special tar, dirt and motocross race against Australia's best.
Not coming home from the Great War meant just that. 1 in 5 Aussie diggers was killed overseas. Only one Australian body, that of a commander, was returned from Gallipoli. It wasn't until the Vietnam War that our war dead were routinely returned to Australia. 2,000 soldiers from Newcastle and the Hunter died in the First War. 98-year-old Dave Shearman was recovering from wounds in England when the armistice was announced.
Thank the all our God. There's a headline on the papers and it was my reaction also.
Thinning ranks of diggers and their widows still come to remember. Ted Kenner wears the Victoria Cross he won for taking on a machine gun post and clearing the way for his mates in World War II.
I'm only the one that's privileged to wear it, but I wear it for everyone.
The remembrance ceremony in Civic Park saw shoppers stop and the faces of a new generation who came to learn. It was a moving moment when the public was invited to lay individual tributes to the fallen.
Everybody should be sure that it goes on, not for our sakes, not for us old fellows, but for all the younger generation coming on. They should understand that over 100,000 in 2 world wars, that's apart from Vietnam, gave their all for what we enjoy today.
At the going down in the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
The Upper Hunter has 2 state-owned power stations and could have a privately owned facility by the middle of the decade. American firms National Power Company and ESI Energy had initially proposed using a site at Wombo Colliery near Singleton. The amended proposal on display has the plant located closer to Singleton and the Hunter River. The developers say Redbank will be smaller than the Bayswater power station, producing 100 megawatts of power, with stacks a third to a quarter of the size of those at Bayswater. Fueled by coal washery tailings, the revolutionary power station will supply power to Shortland Electricity. Public comment on the amended plan closes with Singleton Council on Christmas Eve.
Don, Michael Flanagan, our company general manager.
Yeah.
You better come around.
Yeah.
Well, that's better picture.
Nothing, anything good.
Yeah.
Work around for you, okay?
You're a lovely person.
I'm just writing everyone's name down.
Rumours that all was not going according to plan surfaced early today. It's believed a number of major problems jeopardised tonight's opening performance of A Rare Jewel, including the lack of copyright surrounding 9 of the 22 songs in the production. Late this afternoon, an emergency meeting between Newcastle City councillors and Civic Theatre manager Malcolm Calder was held behind closed doors, Mr Calder refusing to make any comment to the media. Anxious phone calls were made, actors demanded to speak with management, those involved with the production keeping tight-lipped. The chaos has been described as devastating for the hundreds involved in staging the event. With the shine well and truly taken from a rare jewel, there's just 24 hours to reorganise tomorrow's gala opening.